Welcome everyone to this webinar having to do with Gaussian splatting. It'll be led by our formidable Lauren Ibarranto. I am Scott Whitty. I have the great honor of being president of the International VR Professionals Association, the only international association dedicated to the interests and needs of VR creatives in this industry. This webinar is being recorded. It will be available on the IVRPA website to paid members. When this is over, everyone will get an email announcing that it has become available. We have the chat session where people can ask questions. When you do, notice the little blue box above where you're putting it in the text, and make sure that it says everyone if you want it to go to everybody. Otherwise, it'll go just to the panelists who are speaking. If you really want to speak at some point, just click the raise hand thing and we'll try to let you in to speak. There will be an extensive Q&A session at the end of this. Let me see if there's anything else. That's really pretty much it. Okay, I will now turn it over to Lauren and disappear from your screens. Take care.
All right. Hello, everyone. Things should be working, hopefully. And we'll start off today, and I don't have a pitch deck because I'm just going to be kind of doing a studio tour for you. I'm really not an expert at this, right? I'm in the grasshopper stage learning about it. So I thought rather than going over software, showing you particular programs, because there's lots of information on those. And frankly, the software is not that difficult. And that's one of the nice beauties of this. So what I wanted to do is just kind of go through the various projects that I'm working on, how I'm approaching it. Fundamentally, since we're a professional organization, how will I integrate this new technology into my current work with clients and stuff? So I think that might be an important part of how I'm approaching that. So there's a lot of more philosophical, more composition, more kind of artistic things that I'll be discussing today. So the first thing I'll do is just a quick refresh of what we had since it's the second part in the series. And I thought a very easy way to do that is to show you, this is one of the projects that I'll be covering. And you'll see a lot of Civil War stuff in here. It's not because I'm working on a Civil War project or anything. Oh, well, let me make sure I get the chat. Oh, I can't see the chat. Oh, so I'm also on my workstations, so I'm be showing stuff. So there might be some technical difficulties as I go through this. But what I want to do is I'm in post shot, and just to refresh how the okay, people are saying there. I've got to do the chat now, just in case. So if there is an issue, just throw it into the chat, and I can follow here on the side of my machine. Just to refresh what we're doing here, and not to spend a whole lot of time on how splats are, what they are. I'm in PostShot, be one of the programs that I'll be showing today, and there's a lot of different ones, and it's one of the training programs that will take once you've shot images around and fed them in, it'll train it. What I'm going to do here, if you've used it before, is I'm going to reset the radiance field. So this is a file where it's already connected everything, it's a 3D image. And just as I redo it, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Look at the rope here and the fine details of the rifle. And as I reset it, you'll see the splat process in play. And you'll notice that how it starts with very primitive shapes and then rapidly is going through the iteration, which is these training steps. And usually around, well, frankly, if you've got something good working, 5,000 steps in, you'll start to see it. But I'm just going to hit the reset. And it says, yes, you want to reset it, yes. And I'm going to start the training and just watch as it makes it. You'll see it starting to make the blobs, these splats, right? And the reason I chose this one is you can see how it's going to make the long shapes of the rifle. And each time it's going through, I believe this one has, it'll say somewhere, it's several hundred images. And so it's running through the iterations of each of these images, looking at this object. And that'll be a key part of this presentation is the importance of how you take those objects in order to get maximum quality. And you can see what this a real magic to it. Um, Somewhere within here is 200 source images, and let me hop to this view. So, and I'm going to turn the cameras on, and you can see that these are showing the images that have been taken. And the theme of just kind of an experimentation that I'm playing with is how can I recreate, well, I'm going to jump back to how I'm integrating this into my work, but right off the bat, my really creative stuff is trying to make a Ken Burns style, very famous historian, TikTok format. It's going to be portrait, short, highly interactive, quick use, um, and but immersive and based on splats. So that's what I'm kind of pursuing as a creative thing. But notice in the image is a key part of taking these. And this image is actually not done correctly, but you'll notice that lots of different angles coming in, going up and down. But let's go ahead and jump. I'm going to go ahead and quit this out. And let me jump to, I'll explain all of that later. I want to first explain how am I integrating this into my current projects, how, since we're a professional organization, because it's one thing to get really, oh, these flats are amazing and you're off. In fact, I am behind on most of the work that I'm supposed to be doing because this stuff is so much fun to play with. But here's an example of a current, there's a virtual tour, Natural History Museum. And this is as close as I get. It's actually kind of a mistake. They never said anything about it, but after you do it, I'm sure you've all had this situation where you realize, gosh, I should have been a little closer. This is a real key object. And in this case, I'd missed that. A lot of times when you have museums, they'll they'll put a really nice sculpture in and they'll have the bench next to it so everybody can sit next to it and take photos and there it's really more of a modern selfie social media TikTok kind of a thing. And I approached this was years ago, so at that time I didn't really have that in mind, so I'm thinking, okay, this is a place where I could introduce the splats. And what I've been working on was going in there. And so this would be a pop-up, which you'll see is integrated into, they're both done in IVRPA. This is a IVRPA based virtual tour, an older one. And I'm looking at, can I add a hotspot and pop up the splat? So let me show you what the splat is. Oh, that's the Canon one. I got all mixed up. That's okay. I'll find it. So I got backwards. Well, if you want to follow along, let me, I should have said that right at the front. I apologize. Everything that I'm showing you is on this visualconstruction.com, and then 250 is just, so this is the sandbox so they'll see all kinds of mistakes in here. Most of these splats are not cleaned up, but I'm going to go to the Darwin one, which is what I meant. So this is a splat of Darwin, the same spot, right? So I'm in a model, and I'm picturing a very low footprint, something I can pop up at the upper, I'm getting that zoom window in the way as usual. Let me pop it down so I can see it. In the upper right, you'll see in all of these, I think it's kind of important, and at the bottom, you can see it. I have what it is, a statue, where it's from and stuff, but then really important is, because I'm going after production level, is what is the weight of it. In this case, this is only 31 megabytes, and it's you can see the splats. I needed to update that. It's 978. The important part is the 60 frames a second. Now I'm on a nice powerful machine, so you're not going to see that 60 frames, right? I'm running this with an RTX board in it, so that won't drop. But if you look at it off your phone, you'll start to see it. And if you're designing this for production, you don't want that to be dropping below, 24, right? 24 frames a second. Drop below that, and you'll get a stutter in the image, and people will notice it. I'll explain just a little bit about, this is the IVRPA default interface. I started playing around with some of the making changes, and I'll I'll swap it all out, move controls, come up with my own joystick. For mobile, probably I won't have a joystick because you can do most of it with your fingers and stuff. But what I'll show you is the ability to, if you haven't seen this interface, this viewpoint tool that they have is really powerful. And in fact, I'm going to strip this apart and create a markup or augmentation tool that clients can use to create their own movies. I set a viewpoint, right, and I can just change my viewpoint and then say add a viewpoint. We'll do that at the end, but I could jump between the viewpoints and just to see the various parts of the sculpture or whatever. I can play the viewpoint as a movie if I want, and that's it's really powerful. In this case, let me stop it. You can see at any point, you just click on the image and you can see it now. This is nowhere near what it's only, like I said, 30 megabytes or something. So it's very small. I got a lot of room and margin in it, right? I'm working on a production level piece. I still got excellent detail, and I'm using now on the keyboard the WASD standard keyboard. And KRPano is using Q for up and down, Z. Yeah, sorry, Z is for down, Q is up. Anyway, WASD. Uh, I've also played around with text, so I'm going to show you just a second here. I just wanted to get so close. Oh, I'll show you. Continue going. So in the same, if I just pop this out, I can hop over to. Okay, so is in when I shop the and the and go through some of what you're going to see. There's some issues with it, and I'll explain how I'm going to have to go back and reshoot it, and just kind of some limitations to what the splats are and things that you'll do. So here, this is again an object, very low footprint, only I think I have the 24 meg. So I'm getting very low in volume in footprint here. For example, if we were, and this is important because if we were doing the very large, if I go back to this image right here, this is a 22K multi-streamed, any of the programs will do that. But I am putting a server load, even though it's a very low footprint, I am putting a server load when I zoom in and out and move, and I can end up getting, I can really eat into that 60 frames a second. Most of these are going to they're going to be around 40, or so meg. So this is can be comparable, but it can be loaded at once. Something to when you start to put together these splats, and that's why I've included these file sizes in here. As you put this tour together, you're going to want to preload these ahead of time, right? You'll have you'll have an intro screen. You'll have something that'll pop up explaining that this is an immersive splat. Welcome, welcome. Make sure on that page that you're loading the 24 meg, which is nothing. You're preloading that as a file, and so when they go to hit that next page, it's just there. So let me continue going. Now let's look at some of the problems with this one that I've had. Is darkness is definitely an issue. I didn't shoot this lit. It has great lighting, but for people standing around it in the museum, underneath the parts that are dark without it being lit, I don't have enough information, and I'm getting the splats just kind of coming apart on me. Where it's lit highly on the back, I didn't take enough photos, and you'll see that when you do splats, see how I'm looking through it, and it doesn't look good. So this one's got to be redone, probably with lighting, a little bit of processing. But let's continue. This is now getting much better, and okay. This is a much more modern virtual tour. This is the Air and Space. I think this one's maybe 2 years old now. when this was taken. Now, in order to pop up this splat model, I want it to look right. I don't want that. And those past two, I wouldn't use those because when you popped them up, I'm going from beautiful photorealistic quality to, something less. And that's from a production that's going to be nice. Now I'm of course in a virtual tour, so I'm stuck, right? My head's stuck on a thing. Let's jump to, yeah, here it is. So now this is the model and I've got much closer. I'm still at a very low footprint and I've played around. I'm just going to go ahead and play the movie. I haven't focused too much on the text. Well, I'll show you that in a second, how you do that. I'm just interested, can I replicate the same look and textures, with pre-processing, things like that, so that the splat is integrated visually to the tour. This is just turning on the viewpoint situation where it's just going to rotate back and forth. And I was showing how there is some work on the text, but you'll see it can get much better than that. But it's very close to what the actual model is. They're very close. Maybe this positions a little bit. All right, so I'm pretty close in texture, and I could use the keys. I don't have to, but you can see that you're pretty close in texture to mapping it. So now let's continue with, so that's trying to integrate it into my work. But let me show you now. I'm going to hop back to post shots and I'll show you some of the, yeah, I'm doing good on time. I'm going to show you some of the work. So this is just the files that I'm kind of playing with. I'm going to hop around in here. The ones usually have frames in front of it. Oh, let me close Bridge out. I don't want to be in Bridge. Oh, the audio situation threw me off. Okay, so let's first start with, this is a complex one, and I want to show you, kind of go through this of, I'm again trying to keep the file size low, and I'm going to show you just a couple things here in post shot that you may not be aware of. And one is, a lot of times when you're using it, you'll end up out somewhere over here and you go to spin and you can't find yourself back. In the upper left, just always hit the home button. It's important in all of the splat work, and you've got to be diligent about it. Always set your origins. There are two, I won't go into it, but there's two competing origin systems that work, right and left hand. And if you don't set them off right off the bat, you'll end up with a lot of the controls, things will be skewed. And one of the key things in post shot that allow you creativity is what they call the region of interest. And where's it at? Well, I'll show it in a different one. Oh, I have it over here somewhere. I was using it. That's right. Okay. You have the ability to, I'm already still 2,400 splats. I think it's around 20 meg per thousand or so, a little bit more than that. So this is still phone footprint, right? I can still run this thing on a phone. And what I was envisioning is I've selectively rendered, and let me turn on the camera so you can see that this, how you might approach a scene. So in order to put, you'll see spaces, you'll see buildings. There's going to be a limit to what you can do with this technology. And if you're trying to put it onto a phone, or when you go to compress it to a splat, you'll start to really lose a lot of information in its quality. So this is, I'm just again trying to go after this little low footprint TikTok kind of a thing, focusing on objects. I'm interested in what's the quality I can get. Now, I'm just going to back out a little bit and see. And the approach to this is, the story I wanted to tell here is, this is a very famous cemetery next to Antietam National Battlefield. It's one of the first national cemeteries. It's very old. A lot of people go to it. Again, I'm not working on anything other than just it's a nice sample to work on. you can see that I'm approaching, my story was I wanted to approach where there's a person on the monument that you'll see here, and they have these monuments everywhere to famous battles and things. I wanted to be able to read the names off of the tombstones so that when I start out, I'm in this vantage point. So you'll see that I'm purposely taking pictures from this angle, looking down, because that's where I'm going to start out with. And if I zoom around to that angle, you'll see that I'm still, again, I'm at about a 60-foot. I have a lot of room or margin. Sorry, it's acting up on me here. I have a lot of room now. You can see this would be a natural. People would want to see. Come on, bugger. Would want to throughout this. You'll see me messing with the controls. It's because I've been using just about everything, and everybody has a slightly different control. But the story here is I start out in this point. There's a name here, one of the tombstones. Our markers here, they had fought in this very historic battle. You would move forward and into this screen to this plaque over here. And I'm sorry if we're, if it's, if I'm slamming around on you and stuff. But again, I'm interested in quality. So you'll notice now this is an important part of how you get. Again, see, I'm flying all over the place. So I zoom in because I have my origin set now that I've reset it. Now I'm able to zoom again. I'm interested in getting really fine quality and detail off of this engraving, this plaque and stuff. And it's a relief and it's bronze. I'll pull the cameras out of the way here in a second. These are showing where the shots were taken. And I'm using, sorry, I should, in case there's some stuff with chat, hang on a second, let me pull the chat up again. Okay, everybody can still hear me? Okay, I'll talk about, thank you. I'm sorry I had the chat off to the side. I was in full screen. Okay, so fire off questions and I'll explain anything you want. So I've been trying all of my equipment. I'll show you use with video. I have not gotten this level of quality with video. I'm getting the best quality with a 20mm f1.8 lens. And this is getting, I'm figuring out how to get it. Now, the importance of this is you'll notice if I turn from the side, I'm still getting really good quality. It's holding together. There's no holes in the image. I'm getting a beautiful reflection off of it and details in it. And that the trick to that was in photogrammetry, if I just panned the camera straight on it, 35, I'm using a Nikon Z9, so that's a 35 megapixel. The megapixels aren't important because you feed into these training programs. You'll see right here, it has the down sample to 3840. I typically use mine at around 7,000. I play around with them. Good point. I'm not going to cover what you can do with cameras, and that by no means implies that you can't use a good camera. I don't have a good camera with good phones. Having an issue with T-Mobile, you know how it is, prices and stuff. So, and I also don't have a good. I tried the Z9 with video, but I don't have a gimbal, and it's a pretty heavy camera. So I think even though it takes wonderful video, it's it's jumping around. I would love to see obviously taking photos on a tripod. This is what I'm doing, bracketed shots, usually about 5, down selecting to 3, maybe compressing about 2 stops apart. That is important though, and I'm wondering if even with video you'll be able to get this kind of quality. Now, here's something important I wanted to talk about that I discovered, which was really kind of cool, is when I first shoot this, and I think I can pull up. It might let me pull up. Just look really closely. You'll notice that there's a sky, right? I got a nice little kind of a bluish sky here. When I first shot it, it wasn't. You'll notice when you do these, and I'll show you here in a second, when you have a very beautiful sky and you have a dark part, the chromatic aberrations, the standard See how I've gone off into la la land and I'm lost again. Just go back to it. That's one of the quirks of PostShot. The other quirk is it hasn't happened yet, but save often, your cursor will disappear because they're heavily using the graphics card. And so the window shifting and things like that, it's pretty common when you're using all of these programs and you're pushing them to have screen issues and freeze. So, you know, you're in beta mode with these, so save quite often. Let's go on to, oh, I was going to show you, see if it'll let me do it. No, I don't. I guess I don't have it. Okay, let's go to talk about cleaning. This is a statue, and I want to show you. I just talked about how that same issue that you'll have in photography, where you have a very dark, you got a lot of light, you've got a dark edge with white, a light background, and as the edge, you'll get a prismatic, and it throws off chromatic aberrations, all kinds of stuff. That really ends up causing problems in splats. And you'll see here, if I spin around, see how I've got, it was picking up the sky, which is now attached to it. Now I want to show you one of the main parts of splats is cleaning up these, what they call floaters. Now, I've had a lot of luck in avoiding the floaters with very clean imagery. And this is, if I look at the training here on it, so you click on the radians, it'll tell you oh, this one's only 1,000 splats in. So this has just started. The cleaner you get the image quality, the nicer you get it, the less of the floaters you get, the more detailed. And only 1,000 splats in. This is 40 megabytes. I have a lot of room to start playing with it. I can go if I want, like go render in that Canon, but now I didn't take pictures of over there, right? So you'll notice I'm kind of limited. This is showing you the pattern. I'm starting to get a good pattern of how I would approach this sculpture. Except you'll notice I will be nice about it. There was this group that showed up right there. There they are. They stayed for like 20 minutes and they wouldn't go. And so you're seeing this. They're very nice people, but you'll notice same problem we have with panoramic images. If you take any shots with things in there, you're gonna have problems. Now, I've tried, oh, well, I'll just Photoshop them out, right? Use generative fill, no big deal. I was surprised that it introduces an error where, yeah, it looks nice across that source frame, but each time the generative fill fixes a new source frame that's in, you are introducing errors. And it turned out to be kind of unforgiving. One of the things I would recommend that I'm definitely having luck with is, I need to, you can see here, I'm moving my camera up and down on the pole, but I need to switch in. I need to go back and I bought a really nice pole a time ago from Nodal Ninja. And it's a beautiful, nice, like 10-foot extension pole. And I need to get that out because rather than going around the object, transversing it and being able to shoot, you set your focus right, your back, and you're moving the camera up the pole. You don't need to reset the focus. So I'm able to take, the shots, and I want to get the rigging and maybe have to work where you can take the shot like in a pole manner, right? So you're taking it up. You'll notice that I'm shooting the same way in our stitching together VR, that that shifting the camera up and down in angles. And I've been testing that. I guess it's not ironic. The same 30 and 40 degrees that we'll see in our nodal heads and stuff, that same thing gets you a nice result. Let me go ahead and shift to, I'm going to show you where I'm starting to get with quality. And actually, I'll run this one off of the server, so I'm not cheating. So these are I'm going to go through a couple of now these models, and everybody can hear me and everything. Wow, take a drink with somebody. Hey Scott, everything's still going good?
Yes, so far.
Okay. So now I'm going to go through and show you some of the just kind of current projects. And again, most of these haven't been cleaned yet. And an area that I won't go into today is the entire process. And it can be a complicated one of once you have this point cloud, and I can go into these tools. Is it controls? Oh, where's it at? Settings. There it is. Okay. So if I turn on this is the underlying point cloud that has, in a lot of ways, it's kind of in a way, a 3D histogram and stuff. If you see areas that are missing, and this was a highly reflective, which are problematic, and I could see that I should have taken a couple more. I needed more to fill in around the back here. I needed more as well, but if I zoom in really close, you'll see some points hanging off of the object. You'll see, a good thing to remember is I'm still, even this one's a little over 1 million, but I haven't adjusted the density of these yet. Now, you have to be careful when you're doing this because, we'll show you. I'll go back to the post shot and we'll clean the clouds out in a second. You have to be careful that if you use the standard photogrammetry tools of cleaning the density and noise reduction, you're taking it into Blender or Cloud Compare, and you start to just smooth the surfaces out, you start to lose a lot more of the quality. You start to have appearance holes in it and stuff. And I think I've been finding that a better approach, let me go back to post shot, is let's go back to this one and I'll turn the cameras off. And I'm going to show you now cleaning. There's tons of different ways to clean the model. This one I've liked because it's a little more of an artistic kind of a process. And it allows me to, I kind of think of it like painting in 3D. So you can see that I got, the clouds are all messing it up. Okay. In this program, you have this in the radiance field, and this is common to all of them. You have the ability to isolate an area to work on. I like this one because it's very simple. Super Splat's a great program, and the Super Splat, you can remove sections and then work on them independently. Because if you tried to pull these floaters out of here, it does have a tool that's nice here where you can set a depth and like so. And if I right here I'm too close, but if I back up, you'll notice I'm able to select areas and without grabbing the ground behind them. And when you select something, it turns into blue. That's a nice tool to use if you're cleaning out. There's a faster way. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear it out and turn that off. Is in this edit tool, you have the ability to set up a crop box. And here is, I've set up a crop box. You have to select it, little quirks in here that you have to have it selected. You have to have the crop box or the region of interest selected to see it. And okay, notice I'm skewed. Here's another things that aren't really apparent in it is you have two ways to manipulate this box or also the region of interest. These are fine tuning. If you try to change with these, you'll be spending a lot of time. It does have nice tools for just rotating. All right, so I'm rotating this crop box, which is just adjusting it. And I'm pressing the Alt key to move around. Again, there's tons of YouTube tutorials on how to use these programs, and they're not very complex. The real point is that they all kind of have the same approach to it. I'm just going to move this so it's out of the way of the tree. I don't want to select the tree. And you'll see here in a second why I'm doing this, because I'm going to paint in from the side. All right, so that's good. I'm going to go back to this method, and there's those pesky, and I got a little bit of the tree, but that's okay. Now I can zoom in on it, and I can select this tool, which paints all the way through the scene. And I'll show you the kind of the nice, now I don't have a drone, so you'll notice it doesn't look so good from up top because I would have to get information up top. Also, I'm about 15 feet off the ground, too low. But as I get down to where I was able to get about 9 feet up, I'd have to get permission to use a drone or rigging. This is a national park, but if you had the ability to get up higher, you'd take it, and you'd have plenty of information. But that's just showing you how to see all this stuff that's hanging out, just paint it out, back all the way out, just paint roughly around things. Oh, I painted the top of the tip out. So just paint the floaters out of the way this way. And I like to work my way in to the object. And you'll figure out the pan, rotate, tilt and stuff. Every little program has them differently, so it doesn't really matter how I'm doing it. But I'm manipulating. I like to look at the object. Like I like to actually get in close to the object and then rotate it about so I can see. And then you'll notice here's the important part of why this tool, at least for editing, is a little bit nicer. Let me zoom in on this torch here at the top. If I just came in, let me delete some of these. Some of these are the reflections, some of these little dots that are sticking off of the torch. If I go in and just use super splat, or I just clean them up, I'm going to pull away maybe some of the reflections. The nice part of this tool is you can pull it in, and as I get closer, it'll highlight the object that it's going to remove. And I can, here you can see the splat, tiny ones that are hanging off. Those are easy. I can easily grab those. And I like to watch the number here at the top. It's very easy to accidentally paint an important part of the object, and you'll know because when you do, all of a sudden a number, right now it says 9 up here. If I accidentally grab, well, that's not a good example. If I accidentally grab something, it'll start to jump. If I've rotated and I've accidentally painted through the object, you'll see it quickly jump into the thousands of things, and you know that you've got an issue. But this is a nice program, and it allows you to paint out, and you just kind of zoom around. It's kind of therapeutic, and you get close, and you don't try to see. Some of these are the reflections, and it's okay that they're hanging off. So I don't know. It's a nice way of painting with it. I'm going to show you one more and go through it slowly. It's a little bit further along. I'll play it off the web. Okay, so I'll quickly go back to the Canon just to reinforce the idea of how the lighting is important and a little bit different than we typically are used to. The dark, high, bright areas, if they're blown out, they create lots of floaters and issues. Conversely, if you go to dark areas that are under, and this was purposely shot, I wanted to see what it would look like and how it would turn out. And you got to, I just can't get, I don't have enough information on the back side of this. So the other Canon, the next one that I go film, I'm filming it in a nice overcast day. And in this case, I don't have harshness. I'm able to get good lighting all the way around. And I believe I could go in and do some, playing around with the adjustments and things like that. I'm only at 2.5 splats, so I'm still pretty good. And I'm picking up excellent detail. Again, I'm purposely not cleaning these because I wanted to show you that some of the effort, almost impossible to get, like you got to get yourself in there to clean that out. But that crop box that I showed you, you can make it a slice, like an X-ray or something, and just move that slice through the object and just paint out. It's actually, once you start to use post shot for cleaning, that simple tool is pretty nice. And then let's see, I think so. Pick out, as you start to learn this, pick out a subject that you have good benchmarks against. There's a lot of existing, is this a superior technology? Civil War cannons are a good one for that. And this one I haven't rendered out yet. It's just only 1,000,000 splats. So again, I can render a lot more. I'm not sure if I would, again, I haven't gotten heavily into the cleaning. I'm just trying to figure out the photography of it. And let me show you here. This is one of the later ones, and I'm starting to get trying to focus just in on getting a nice one. This is again one of these plaques. And so in this case, it's dropped into the IVRPA interface, and I'm looking at what level of quality can I get out of the splats. Again, it's 2 million, so I still have a lot of room. I can add to it. I could, do something around the outside, and let me switch to, and I'm able to get pretty close. And the beauty of this is this technology. Sorry, told you I'd have troubles on that. Oh, we have the ability to do collisions. Let me just hop to, I had set up different views that I wanted to show. So I'm going to cycle through the different views. Some nice reflections. I could probably clean them up a little bit. You'll see there, right there, there was a little bit of an edge. It's supposed to be. Let me zoom in. Okay. So you're starting to see, you got, it's holding together. The reflection isn't shimmering on me. I don't have holes in it. You can see right there, there's an issue where I probably needed to take a shot. I bet if I backed up and went and looked at the cameras, I'd see that I don't have enough of a source image there. But I'm happy with this as far as the ability. This normally would be, has proven to be a pretty difficult image because of the reflection. Um, and then I think, oh, this last one, and then we'll hop to, I'll end early because it's kind of a small crowd, and we'll also see if we'll open it up for questions. So this is an attempt at playing around with, again, that going after this little TikTok Ken Burns kind of a thing, right? So in Vision, there's music playing right when you drop into the scene. Maybe, yeah, I told you. So maybe I start off like this, right? Of course, the settings things would be out of the view, and there's something describing. This is at the entrance to Gettysburg. There's a beautiful statue of Abraham Lincoln in front, and I'm on the backside, and already it was difficult to take this. I just showed up. You can see my backpack is over here. They were closed. I thought they would be closed. I hadn't been to Gettysburg. I didn't realize how many people go to it. So it was kind of a test to along this walkway. Now that I knew from that previous shot, I can't take shots with people in it. It was very easy, and normally it would have been very difficult to have shot this as a panorama using this big wide angle lens because people were coming up. I think I spent 3 hours. No, sorry, that was something else. I spent about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, but that's mainly because people would come up and oh, hey, come on in, take a shot. And I'm going to tell you, it's as a professional, it presented a really good opportunity because they'd come in and they sit here. You can actually see the dirt and stuff. Everybody comes in here, thousands of people, and they sit and they take a picture. When they come in, I invite them in. And, oh, hey, I don't want to be hogging. I've been here all day. You got to be really nice. Like I'll be just another hour. But you come in and you just go take pictures of the rock or something, right? So I'm over here, and they look at you, and you've got really high end equipment, and you're pointing down, and you're taking pictures of the rock, and they're like, "What is this person doing?" And they have to ask. And sorry, I hit the button really there. I just wanted to show you that. So the scene here is that, again, still got a lot of room to play with. Let me reload it. I got myself out of sequence there. And you can play with these and tell me if they're not, and they're not set for phone yet. I still have them as desktop. So they would eventually, I would need to frame them, right? That's something about the splats, obviously. So the selective rendering I wanted to start it with a framing. Splats does really well at the trees. I've got more room to play with. If I clean these a little bit, you see I've got I'm framing this shot where the music would be talking about, setting the mood that the cities and the nations tearing itself apart, and I'm trying to use the splats purposefully to reduce volume. I'm not interested in much that direction, right? And so I purposely took a couple shots where I'm grabbing in a yellowish thing, tight in, and I'm not feeding it enough information so it comes up with this hole, right? I'm trying to be creative with the splats, except leaving the backpack. And on the thing was kind of, I'll have to, anyway. Uh, so jump to the next scene, right? So it spins around, not that fast. Probably need to drop, and I could go in and change the viewpoints here. I could go to the tools and go to the viewpoints. Let's see that viewpoint. Which one am I on? 2. Okay, so I'm on viewpoint 2. I could change this. Oh, I don't like that. I'm too high, right? I'm seeing the unrendered stuff, so I could drop myself a little bit. Right, maybe I like this view better, right? Because it's more the trees. Hit add viewpoint. I'll now have the code. If I grab the XML code, oh, it's software, but I have that as now as a viewpoint, right? That's a new viewpoint. I'd have to add it to the tour, but that is now a viewpoint. So handing this to a client where you've created the scene, maybe it's some exhibit. It could be a wedding cake, right? You're a wedding photographer. You've done a beautiful shot of their wedding. They have these different views. They can create the pictures themselves. And just the last point, okay, so there's the model, and I could do some more work on that one. And then over here, okay, and then this one was just showing you that I'm spending some of my time on, of course, the other important part of this is the Gettysburg Address. So I'm trying to put that, using that ability to do, think of the splats as, and actually I haven't cleaned the floor out yet, but try to think of the splats as you've got the time. Oh, one last thing I want to show you. And I'll show you, this is latest. I'll show you that. No. And then we'll open it up. One more thing. This will point out an important part of things. So this was I'd figured out the cannons, I'd figured out the lighting, I was ready to go. And this is and let me turn this off. Oh, sorry, I haven't done a very good job with the screens. I apologize. I should have practiced more on this because this is on my workstation. And it's kind of an unforgiving thing. Put the chat back out. Okay. So I was, oh, sorry. No, I have not used a reflector to bounce sunlight, and I definitely feel that that's a way to do it. Because yeah, you're right. The more light is better. The overcast just gives you that muddy look. I have been making progress with, you can really push images with processing, right? You can take them into, you can change the dynamic range, drop them into something like a Luminar Neo and just really, push the range on it. There's a limit to that. I'm also noticing that I can over denoise and improve the stitching or the amount of stuff. I also noticed that over sharpening is really bad. So you're going to want to under sharpen and over denoise than you're used to in standard images. And very important is all of the depth of field, understanding your hyperfocal length. Don't any blurry part of the image that you take will be fed into the machine, and it doesn't seem to know how to filter it out. It will muddy if you have your feet in the picture. If you have a shadow in the corner, it'll pop up. Sorry, yes, denoise. It'll pop up as a flash. And so it's surprisingly limited at using generative fill because the generative fill is not 3D, right? It's on each 2D image. So if you fix anything on an image, it flashes as you shift around. You got the novel views, what the AI has created, but within that is the source view. And as you spin around the source view, the defect will pop up. Now, these were my cannons. I was all ready to go. This is the centerpiece at Antietam. where they have all 6 major types of cannons that existed in the 1800s, and I've just got the lighting down. I got serial numbers. I think I'm at 1,200 images, and but there's 6 cannons, and I made a real. I It's one of those things where you're like, oh, I left the lens cap on. Um, and this is an important part of this that I'd forgotten about. There's 6 cannons. I approach it beautiful, taking these angled shots down in another row and then up. But I did the same pattern on both sides of the cannons. So I fed the AI engine the same mirrored or symmetric images of the wagon wheels and the cannon barrels. So the very thing that made this easy to stitch has now confused the stitching engine, and it's sticking wheels together, and there's supposed to be 6 cannon. The missing 2 are actually being kind of halfway stuck in between. It's trying to marry up the wheels in between those. So if you've done stitching in a data center, or you've dealt with that symmetry, be aware of that as well. Don't just go to the center of the room. Shoot a little bit off. I probably could have put safety cones, maybe, or something, or I don't know, but I'll have to now go in and stitch, 1 cannon at a time. But what I was envisioning is, if you've seen software like Gaussian, where we're going with this is the ability to pull out each of these pieces. And so I could highlight them. I could turn, like, they could all be point clouds. They could, appear out of smoke, or you can really animate these and turn them into some pretty amazing stuff. So anyway, I'm that's kind of what I wanted to go through. Just wanted to show you, and I wanted to open it up to everybody, and just to kind of ask questions. I think I've covered all of the stuff I wanted to cover. Just gonna check real quick. Yep.
Brian Richards has put up a question that I think a lot of us wonder, which is, this is an awful lot of work to get one image. Where are the use cases that make it worth all that? And what clients would it be well used for, and how do you charge for the amount of effort that you have to put into something like this?
Let me show you. That's a good point. I should have emphasized more that the fact that I'm not using video is probably more due to the fact that I don't have the right video equipment. If you have the right video equipment and it's cranking out the video, then this is the process. I'm going to show you really quickly how easy this is, and I'll show you also at the same time how my video equipment isn't working on this one. So let me. Da, da. Okay, here they are. So I'm trying to work on doing I have a van, and I wanted to. I'm slowly working on turning it into my little traveling RV. And it's a very small van, and I have a sink, a very small marine sink, and I've been stumped on where to fit it and how to put it in. So I did video. I definitely didn't want to take pictures. In fact, I couldn't take pictures because it's small. I couldn't set the tripod up and things like that. If you've got a video camera and you're going to try this out, your cell phone, try this one first. This is Reality Scan. You just take your videos, and I would recommend. I take my videos, and I don't know if it's any better because I just don't have a gimbal. If I had a gimbal, I would, but I don't try to walk around and take the video at the same time because I'm not taking that kind of a video. So I practiced, and I'm taking these with a Z9, so it's unfortunately a heavy body. So I'll hold it, and I'll, like, what's a comfortable region? And I just take little snippets. So I stand there, I know that I've got it focused on the side of the vehicle, right? And I'll go up and down, and I'll just kind of scan it, and I'll turn the camera a little bit. All right, so I get all these little videos. I think I maybe have had 30 of these. These are what's left. And so you go to video sequence, it'll ask you the video. Let's just grab this one. You hit open, and it's going to ask you where to send it. An important part is this jump length. It's dependent upon the speed at which you set. And you can play around. I've played around with this is a Nikon Z9, so I play around with 4K at 30 frames a second. I think I'm actually getting a little bit better luck with 2K at 120 frames a second. But the speed at which you're shooting and then the speed at which you're moving, the camera determines your jump length. I hit jump length. It's going to start doing this, but oh, it's extracting the frames out here into a folder. I would recommend you see, I don't have the greatest video. If I zoom in a little bit, it's 24, right? So I don't have good quality video, but I haven't yet tested taking the individual frames rather than just letting reality scan pick them. I pick like this one. Here's an example. It would pick this image and feed it to it, and this would wreck because I've got my shadow in it. And this one does not have, the ones next to it don't. So you definitely would not want to use this image right here or the one that's right here. The slightest and it flashes on you. But I would take these and probably run them through like a topaz denoise or whatever. But anyway, 3 messages. Yeah, in fairness to Klaus, I think he's this. I'm gonna put this out. You're right. There's not a lot of documentation on that. Oops. Yes. Not a lot of documentation on how to use it, but it's incredibly powerful. I think he was just working away and anxious to get it out. Uh, Write me on my email. I think one of the great powers of it is the template, and I've already started to play around with a different joystick and buttons and things. But I think we can share templates because all you're doing is dropping a scene in. So if you've used KR Pano, a lot of will be very familiar to you. It's still viewpoints and scenes and layers. It's the same integration. I haven't started to do it, but like the cemetery scene where I was in front of the monument and then I have the tombstones and statues. I guess those would be because you can do viewpoints. They could also be hot spots. What I'm trying to do with like the statues of Wright brothers is now that I've got them matched up to the way they look the same, I'm thinking about in that virtual tour where I have the photorealistic image and I'm in that vantage point, move the starting viewpoint to the splat in that point. So when you click the pop-up, there's not something coming up at you. I just use, I think it will work, the natural fade or blend between two KR Pano scenes. And I should then go to this, true 3D, 6 degree of freedom. And I think you can there's controls and constraints where you can set up collision boundaries. And I think that's a way in which I can keep them from drifting off the scene. And then when they want, they exit it and they drop back into the reality. Let's see, viewpoint. Yeah, I definitely am going to agree with Brian. I'm testing right now. I'm going after like what's the maximum. Oh, I should have shown you something. Oh, this one is really cool. But as you can tell, if you're not doing this, you need to be playing with this. This is a really fascinating technology, incredible creativity to it. Because all of the software is really easy to use, and there's so many different things you can do to it. So many rules that can be broken. This is one that I'm trying to get right. I'm learning a lot about this one because I haven't showed you many spaces yet. Okay, so this is, I should start just a little bit lower. So this is a very, very famous bridge called, I'm going to jump out of scene. So I'm trying to, again, also keep keep it within this. Let me restart it. So well, I can back up to where, so it's an outdoor scene. I haven't cleaned this at all. This is coming. I haven't even set, the model's not set up right. Um,
I had great ideas about getting in the water, but this is at a pretty prestigious national park, so there was no getting in the water. So you definitely would want to get in the water, but I was able to walk along the bridge, and uh, if you'll read it in photogrammetry, and it's the same, never move in or out. And so if I get to the bridge and pop over to the bridge, the image will come back together somewhat. Uh, All right, so I'm starting to get more realism, and the way that that's being done is I'm walking down the bridge. I'm not shooting, this direction. I'm shooting down right at a 30 degree and thinking 3D angles down and then forward a little bit, and you'll do maybe two or three tracks and think about, where a person's head would be, and then move down it. Now, I think you'll move a lot faster if you're using rigging. I've played around with it, putting this on a dolly. I didn't want to bring it to this, because there were so many people. But a dolly, I've tried it in a museum where you just have it on a dolly. You lock two of the wheels, you keep one off. So you're just picking up the two legs. You move down along against a wall, so you've got the focus set. You've got triggering your hand, and I'm just watching the tripod legs, and I move it from one leg to where the other one was, and so I can keep it very even. It's like 3/4 of a meter, and just boom, 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 boom down. So I think that in order to address the amount of images, that we'll have some new rigging types. We need to talk to Jeff about stuff. I can definitely see that some of the panning equipment that you have, combined with the ability to, right, so you can set up a rail, pan across a sculpture, turn the camera, pan back, turn back, right, move it up. So it'd be fascinating. Da, 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 da. Yeah, still about equipment is, I think if you're new to this, if you have the 20 millimeter fast lens because you just want maximum depth of field, because it just makes, and just watch yourself so you don't, if you're photographing on a corner, make sure that you're not too much of an angle. Um, yeah, 20 millimeters working good. I haven't experimented with it, but Reality Scan allows you to mix the photos. I tried an 80 millimeter portrait, and it didn't work because you need enough of the background to stitch. Um, I won't show it now, but I'm playing around with organic stuff. And Daniel, board member, he's been doing it as well, because that's a great potential for you if you can do, flowers, plants, orchids. I mean, think about a wedding, all the flower shops, all of the, be able to pull it up and rotate it around. But we can talk about that. There's some real challenges to it. I'll give you a tip. One of the challenges is you photograph a flower with a macro lens or another lens, and it looks beautiful. There's a lot there that you're not seeing, I guess. And I can get perfect, beautiful flowers, but where in the center, where I don't know what the crystalline structure or whatever else, the image looks perfect, but the software, I think, is getting confused by the reflections, the crystalline nature of the flower. And I'm going to try different flowers and plants. Um, da, da, da. Yeah, also, if anybody wants to, I do have, oh, I didn't show you one. Well, sorry. I have so much stuff. I do have some very clean sets of images that I'm happy to, if you don't have the camera or you're interested in playing around with the software, or, that's more your gig, is how would you put the stories. I'm happy to. These are all from public parks and public places. The Smithsonian ones I can't, but all this Civil War stuff, I'm happy to. If you want a clean set of images to work or play with, I can give them to you in the JPEG, or if you want, I can also give them to you in the bracketed raw NEF formats. Because I am finding that processing the imagery is, there's definitely some creativity there. Um, For example, you can run the scene, get it all done, and then take some of the imagery, run it through a filter forge, like play with the sky, drop in a new sky, and then rerun it again. Like it won't stitch, it won't align a model, but you can create some really crazy stuff with that. So I love it for its creativity. That's it close. Yeah, I'm definitely playing around with how to integrate it into um, things. The people talking about virtual production, insurance. I didn't touch on the ability to and that's like the program Godzilla is more of an industrial facilities kind of security. You think you're building a data center, it's $1 billion asset, and you have all these various construction teams in. Now you have the ability to have somebody come in every day and drone and then produce. Now you can do that already, but so, for example, those monuments that you're seeing that I've done, I'm doing maybe 3 of those a day. It's not a long day either, so I'm able to shoot maybe I can shoot that monument in about an hour now using some tricks. Like I said, I don't try to walk around it anymore. I set the focus. Like if this is the object, I set the focus and I just run the camera past it, and up and down, right? So down, up, move it, right? And I've already got the focus set because I'm not changing. Um, to do one of these monuments, I mean, I think the quality is kind of even better, but to do one of these in photogrammetry, to clean it, to drop it in, um, pretty difficult. Yeah, you see the thing here is this is so new. It's kind of a wild west thing. It's really good. There's all kinds of emerging tools. That's why I didn't want to present today as a slide deck and a lecture and things, because there's so many different processes. So I hope I've just sparked something, and I hope that you write me back and say, hey, um, you should try this tool, or here's a setting, or here's a noise reduction that I found, things like that. So, and I think we'll probably start a little bit of a working group type of a thing. But is there any more questions or anything that I haven't covered?
I think there's an awful lot of observations. Stefan mentioned Ollie. Ollie and Jonathan are
Yeah.
two of the best people to follow on YouTube for this stuff. So for instance, Ollie has this rig where he has three 360 X5s, one up high, one middle, one down low. And he just has them on video and he walks around through a scene. So it captures all these viewpoints and then runs the video, the 360 video, through a program that will create, I guess, the cube faces, and then just drops that into, I forget which program, but he's automating an awful lot of.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately it's not going to be economical or practical to shoot them the way I'm shooting them right now, and I'm able to get excellent quality. But I know that the 360 rigs and the rest of that, and be able to shoot, I still think you have to know how to move it around, how close to get what things. So there's a lot of you don't have to run out and get a 360 rig. In fact, if you're new to this, I think just using the cell phone and the Polycam or some of the new ones is the best. So you can get used to the cleaning process and how you might integrate it. And I was surprised when I first started. I was just cranking out as many splats as I could. 7 million. That's what my board can handle. And then I went to play them on the phone, and I realized, okay, that's the same rules apply. You got to back up a little bit. The questions about splat training on Mac OS. Visual. Oh, my platform visual and its construction.
it's just a sandbox right now. It's my website, but I haven't been keeping up on it as much as I want to. Yeah, I think to repeat the 360 video, I sold my last 360 rig and I haven't gotten a new one. I tried a GoPro 4K. I really didn't like the quality of the video for it. Just tips and also chime in if you agree with this. Anybody using these for standard? Obviously, shoot manual, nothing auto, right? You set everything. Shoot raw for video cameras. The turn off motion capture, things like that. You don't want, sorry, stabilization. Using a gimbal, I imagine, would be best. And definitely, if you're, pulling in the maximum amount of information, the best way to do it. Question about how you have 2 files to it. I didn't show that, but I've been having luck with doing the following. So this is, I didn't pull up the file. If can you see, hope you can see these images. These are the training images that I shot when the day was nice and bright, not a cloud in the sky, and I got absolutely excellent images off of and clarity, but I didn't like the sky. I went back the next day, exact same time, because that day they had, and you see that's the same. So I'm setting and I made a mistake here. I'll explain. So I sent the same training images, but at the end of it, I dropped in now these new photos from the next day, same time. That right here's the one from the previous day, no sky. Here's the one from the next day with a beautiful sky. But the center of interest was the monument. I shouldn't have included that in the second set of images because there's a slight subtle difference in that. And the tombstones would have been enough to anchor it. Same thing with the trees. Now, I'd gone back and I'd had luck with not only the original one, there wasn't enough definition of the trees. So I went back and took shots to fill in areas that I didn't fill. And I think that might be a process that you're doing when you build these. And so this is how I just dumped these all into post shot again, but I don't think that's the correct way that I should have done this. I should have used one of the tools like Super Splat or one of the other ones where I take out just the monument. So I should have shot just the monument on the nice clear day, and then come back and shot all of the scenes and everything else with the beautiful sky. And because I'm just dealing with a point cloud, you can pull the point clouds apart and drop them. If that's a question about how you would merge 2 files together. I'm kind of experimenting with 2 different types
Isn't
of.
there a way that you can simply drop in a sky into a scene and it just puts it in there? I seem to remember hearing or reading about that somewhere.
There's the sky model that you can create, and I haven't liked the sky model because as soon as you move, so the sky model is a simplified, it just takes and creates a sphere around you that replicates what the sky would look like. And I haven't liked that because when I move around in a scene, you just get this random movement. I've had luck with, and try this if you're using post shot. And here I'll show you, well, I will render a scene out maybe at 500,000 splats, run it out to about 50, run the whole scene and just render it out to maybe 50,000 steps, look at it. Can I move around? Is the sky coming apart? And then I'll focus in on the areas of interest, take that region of interest and start to focus and do things. But I'm just really experimenting. There's so much creativity with how you can do this. What I haven't played with is you take the point cloud that you've created from the photographs that you've created, you take that down into the cleaning path, right? You reduce the density, you clean up any stray points, and then you run it through the training program again, and now you should get a much cleaner. And I haven't, but that's another complicated. Um, just a, it's such a different medium. It's kind of like
playing the guitar, or there's so much, not to it because it's very simple, but there's so much that you can do with it that I think you just kind of have to play with it, get it going, and start. See if you like it. See if you get what you can do with it. It's a very, very different medium. So, any more questions? I agree with the. We should get me a 360 camera so I can go out and. I mean, obviously, if you're going to get, it's just assumed to me I didn't have any video equipment that was going to give me the quality of an image that I could get out of my camera, and I was interested in seeing. So I didn't mind spending a little bit of time because I'm not getting, I'm not charging somebody for it. But if you know, there's got to be a video setup and yeah, let's see, we got 360 one by one. Yeah, is anybody say if anybody knows the answer between is it better to shoot at high resolutions, slow speed, versus 2K for high speed, low resolutions, because that's kind of an option on most of your equipment. If anybody's had any, because again,
Jonathan did a comparison where he shot at high resolution and then lower resolution. And for the scene that he was covering, he found that the high resolution was overkill. But I don't think he was trying to come in close on anything, get detail where you would read text and things like that. He was just building large models.
Um, good point. Another thing to think about when you're doing this is to watch is there are sweet spots and you can I've discovered, I was surprised. I thought, oh, just the more iterations, the more splats, the better. But the magic to that one Wright Brothers model where it looks right and the other two don't, they have kind of a muddied or whatever, is I overprocess those. They looked good when the surfaces were more simplified. When it started to try to make all the individual points and stuff, it kind of lost all of the specularity, that reflection. So, and I went back and looked at those and noticed and watched this. If you set a region of interest for something and you set maybe 2 million splats and you're watching it eat those up and then it stops before then and it doesn't increase, right? It's not taking any more, you've overdone it. You probably need to back off of even what you set, right? Does that make sense? So if you pick out a statue, you think, oh, 2 million splats are going to be amazing. You go, you train it, and you're watching it using how many splats is there, it's rising, and it gets to 1.8 and it stops. That means you probably only needed maybe 1.4, 1.2 in it. Also the file, the delivery of the file size, same as with most multimedia or videos or whatever. On your desktop, you're going to chase quality. And then when you deliver it to a phone, it's going to stutter and stuff. So that frames per second is a really nice thing to watch, to make sure that when you're because it's depressing to make something outstanding and then realize that you can't actually display it anywhere and that's especially true in this workflow in that you're working on a very powerful machine to start with, a big board. So you've got great graphics. You probably got it married to an excellent monitor because why wouldn't you? You bought a nice machine. And then you're going to take and compress it to a splat. And I started playing around with splats versus playing with the number of spherical bands versus compressed PLOIs. Can I drop colors out? Can I blur things like that, right? How can you shave it down? And you just got to keep playing with it. What else we got? I'm gonna yap on if I don't stop. It's fun stuff. Oh, thank you. GoPro Max 2. What is that? What's the price of a Max 2? The GoPro Max 2. What's the resolution on it? Any more tips about? Because I think we have some people that
would get themselves a video camera and $499 and 8K. That's good. I agree. You don't want to feed 8K stuff, but it's good to work in RAW and 16-bit if you got it, and then at some point you drop it down. Question: what's people's feelings on the resolution? I really haven't nailed that down. You'll see that PostShot wants to downsample to 3840. I sometimes feed it 7. What's people's thoughts about that? Oh, there's questions and answers too. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't read the Q&A. Collisions. Yes, collisions are, you're just working in a 3D environment, so you have the ability to restrict a person's movement to move in that, to off of that 3D. And I think that will be a really important part of these splats, is that what they call the head on rails concept of this, because if you allow them to move about the splat, you saw me several times, they're going to be wrong. Yes, post-shot licensing did change, and you are limited. And unfortunately, the kind of the only one that makes production sense is the $70 a month one. So that's kind of why I was trying to. We need to make money on this, or else it's just some new. It's like Adobe Creative Suite subscription part two. Yeah, videos definitely got to be the way to go if you can figure it out. So, and I think we'll arrive at that, right? I think this isn't, the selection of equipment isn't going to be as nuanced and kind of fanboy driven as it was for the start of VR, and there was endless discussions about what lens and this or that, fisheye versus. I think it's a lot more. I think you're down to, just a good quality lens, rectilinear stuff. Yeah, I haven't tried a 360. Insta asking if you have tried an Insta360. Haven't tried that one yet. Everybody used to go out and with what they have, test it and start posting it. That's how we'll figure it out.
Well, one thing, NVIDIA brought out a version of their software where you can use a 360 camera or a fisheye lens, and it will dewarp it within the program and then do splat from that. But I haven't seen that or noticed that in any of these other programs yet. So it's still only something that you can access through GitHub and installing it on your computer that way.
That's also an area I really haven't gone down, is the whole, this is mostly the cutting edge of this is command line. You're working off of GitHub repos and stuff. But I wanted to just kind of see, we're more about the photography. You got to start with good input. It's definitely garbage in, garbage out. So that's why even just a cell phone, it's so different. You're gonna want to like pan and stuff, and that's you. It's yeah. Well, I'm trying to think about how to explain this. When we're taking a panorama from a nodal point, the movement at all off of that nodal point causes tremendous, distortions in the outer image, and we end up with garbage. Okay, so we can't allow any translation of the camera at all. But in this process, that's exactly what we want, is that parallax. The difference is the geometry is changing from different viewpoints. So I have experimented and I've been surprised. If you take the camera and you've got it in a position, right? And you're thinking, oh, I'm going to take another shot. I might as well just turn the camera and turn the angle, right? Or you got the tripod. You'll actually, I'll get worse quality. It's somehow that panning, feeding it to images that have very little parallax in it causes the issues. So if this is the object, like I'm the object you're filming, you don't want to do this thing, right? You don't want to move and focus on me, which is natural.
You want to focus on me and start the camera over here looking directly past me and then just bump, bump, bump. And you want to turn, go to a different spot, camera angled at 30 or whatever, down or whatever, and do that. And I'm not sure how that'll work for 360 rigs, but I'm sure there'll be an aspect to that where, yes, you've got the wand, and you've got your camera on the end of it. You'll have to stay out of the picture because the frames, if you're in them, your shadows in them, it's going to mess it up. You'll
Well,
have
I've seen though where you got a 360 camera, you can see yourself in that 360 image, but the software is able to know that and it just excludes you.
yeah, we need to get me a 360 camera. I could go pick that. If somebody comes and says, "Hey, an Insta360 is collecting, decent information," and that's the Z9 is overkill. I can tell you that. I'm shooting at and I'm finally feeding at JPEGs at 4,000 pixels on the long side, and no difference. The Portal Cam, yeah, you have to stay recent because I haven't heard of Portal Cam. So it's moving very fast. That's why I pitch for our group. Being in a collaborative mode where you're seeing other people and what they're doing I think it's going to be really important if you're interested in progressing in this software and learning off, because there's entirely new techniques that are, I'm really excited to see what people come up with it. I'm very, just really quickly about the command level. One of the more powerful things that we'll be able to do with this is, right now, I take the flat images, right? You can see the cemetery. Maybe I want to age it, right? Give it a sepia look or some historical look. I've got to do it to each of the images, right? I'll run them through Photoshop or some type of a 2D filter. That's actually not what I need. What I need is to run each of the splats while they're being trained through and there's some work that Jonathan's done, some other people have done, where the individual pieces of the 3D light are being run through the filter. The result of that is then a sepia or whatever, or aged 3D image, but done correctly with all the shadows and everything else, rather than just something that's applied to it. So I've seen some of the work on that where we're moving from 2D filter forged 2D type filters to actual 3D environmental filters, where it's pretty cool stuff. I think it will revolutionize gaming, the ability to treat the objects, the photorealistic objects, in a particle form where they're saved as a simple matrix with just 16 variables. That's the real. We're so new on this, but that's the real power of this, is that we've moved from all of these very intensive calculations being done, all these special algorithms and tricks to turn a mesh into something that looks photorealistic, to just photograph. I mean, there's limitations, of course, right? You have to have an existing object to do this, but that's incredibly powerful. So I'm excited to see, and I've showed this to a number of people as well, and the ability to create. It's not going to replace the spaces, at least for my business, but the ability to create an archival object for the first time where I'm not simplifying it. I mean, you're seeing it in its as is condition. That hasn't, no matter how good we've been to the very process of creating an object up to now, destroys that. It's not an as, it's a digital, and yeah, digital twins, but they really haven't been true digital twins yet, not in a photorealistic sense, and now they can be. But anyway, that's enough. I think we're done. What do you think, Scott? Uh-oh. Did my thing die out? Is anybody still there? Oh
Sorry,
no.
I had my microphone off.
I have you
Uh,
scared there for a second.
yeah. All right, so the question was asked, is this recording going to be available? Yes, it will on the IVRPA website in the webinar page. You have to be a paid member in order to access that, but at $50 a year, it's like dirt cheap, so well worth it, plus all the other recordings that we have. Um, there was a question, what software was being used where the user was blocked out? I think I saw that in an interview with the people from XGrid, where they were walking around a conference room or whatever, and obviously, actually any XGrid capture, they're getting 360, but it's blocking, it's automatically removing the person who's carrying the camera.
Another very cool thing I just started playing with, and it's in post shot and other ones. And you have to be careful about how you're doing, or else you introduce a new workflow. But the ability to feed the alpha or masked images to it, and so you can take something like a statue, photograph it against a background that can still be stitched, but can also be removed easily using, you know, an AI tool. And then you end up with a pure, there are no floaters because it's stitching based upon all of the information in the environment, but it's only generating, or the point cloud or training based upon the masked out parts of the object. So you feed it all of your images, then feed it the alpha mask, you know, channels, and that's amazing. So da, 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 da. Yeah, I'm curious to see that, you know, what's the balance between speed, productivity, being able to, because obviously if it takes, you know, like, oh, I'm going to come out and take, you know, your site, but I have to take 5,000 pictures and I'll be there for a week. And, you know, so gosh, you guys are all just making me feel terrible about not having a video 360 camera. That's okay. I still think that we're probably still at a point where a high-end DSLR, you know, with a good lens on the front of it is going to be capturing a better, you know, ultimate quality. But does that really matter? Probably not, and not if you have to take 1,000 of them. All right, anything else?
I'm just going to mention here, I'll put it in the okay, in the chat. Check out Gabriel's YouTube channel and his LinkedIn page, I guess. He has interviews with all kinds of people in the industry, and it is a fascinating resource for getting of diverse input or exposure to everything that's going on in this field. And the thing that impresses me is this is just changing so fast. And everything that we're going through now, the amount of work that you have to put in, the explorations, cleaning things up, all of this is going to be going away in the future as the software gets better and the techniques get better. So we really are in such early days right now with this technology. It'll be fascinating to see how it progresses.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's even the updates to the software, while I've used them over the last 2 months, I've noticed some pretty big changes in what they're rolling out. So they're moving very fast. And some of the new software, Godzilla, if you guys haven't looked at that, Godzilla Pro has some really cool stuff where we're capturing the splats, we're creating the splats, and you're starting to see the new software coming out. That's I guess it would be the building. You know, like KR Pano has theirs, 3D Vista. So we're very close to where you'll start to be able to integrate, to add things into them, to add them to other stuff. I wouldn't be too hung up on, oh my gosh, how am I going to integrate this with my existing 3D Vista tour, or why doesn't it play on a Mac at the moment? That that'll be fixed. That'll be soon. A lot of it is due to the newness of it, and that it's specifically tied to is it CUDA or CODA. The RTX boards, the NVIDIA chips have special ray tracing algorithms
built onto them that allow them to, to run. That's why they're so valuable for AI and all the other stuff. And ours is included in that. All right. Well, fun stuff. And yeah, please do reach out. Daniel and I were, some of the people were talking about, should we set up a working group for this? Maybe it might be a little bit too specific, right, to our general group. We don't want to become the splat group, but it's also a very exciting, area. So maybe it's better suited to a working group. So if you're interested in possibly setting up a working group, maybe meeting every couple of weeks, like the meetup kind of a stuff, let us know. Just contact any of the board members. But
I'd like to see conversations take place in our public Facebook group.
Okay.
We've had a little bit of that. So if you haven't already looked at that, please join the group, ask questions there, show your work there, whether it's
Good
Gaussian
idea.
splatting or whatever, because we can definitely have conversations go on there.
Yeah, can you put that link out, and then absolutely anybody a lot of people have provided really good examples, and I'm trying to save the chat, but can if you're a member of the board, if you're a member of the Facebook, can you please just repeat and add to it? And maybe that, yeah, I think that would be a good place to start that. I forget Facebook. We need to come up with some way to share stuff socially over the web. So, okay.
If you're wondering where the Facebook group is, on all the emails that you've been getting, go to the bottom and just click the Facebook icon. That should take you right to the public Facebook group, I hope.
If I seem anxious, it's because I got my car packed up and I'm actually going to go head out and go get some more stuff. I want to go back to that bridge. The spaces is a challenge, especially the outdoor spaces, but there's no way that photogrammetry or anything we've seen can create the natural look of the trees and the rest of it at such a low footprint. I'm really excited to see what people do with little outdoor space, because we've never, we kind of stay away from that. A truly organic, the flowers, and Daniel was showing me some stuff up in Orchid that's it's crazy good how accurate. And so I think there's also a tremendous amount of opportunity business wise for us, in that this technology is able to do things that we haven't done before. So it's not a question of, oh, it does the same thing but a little bit faster. It's so much faster in the delivery of it. So very, very cool. So I'm glad to see people are excited with it. So join us. I'll go publish a bunch more things, and I'll try to stay active on that. So if you reciprocate, if other people stay active on that, I'll try to start. I haven't been very good about interface. I've been too. I now want to be outside. All right.
All right, just 1 second here. Oops.
Yeah, no shameless plugs at all, man. Just show us your work. I bet him some of the stuff you showed me, Scott. Who was that individual that was doing the indoor interior stuff?
Oh, he's from China, so I'll mess up his
Man,
pronunciation. But yes, he seems to have something proprietary in a way that it hasn't been publicly released, but they've been
yeah,
able to do interiors that are extremely good.
Oh, I was blown. I was curious because we were seeing the videos. Like if you move off of that path, do the things, because that's, to me, is the biggest part of the splat or challenge right now, is that it looks great. Like you close to that. As soon as I move off of it, it kind of all comes apart. But that was really impressive that you showed me. That I see that as, if that's a workflow that's being done, with a 360 camera, you're walking through the space and you're outputting that. That's a replacement to VR.
Okay, I just put a link to to that group where he is presenting much of his work, and so you can see it. Follow that. Uh, Again, there's just so much going on in this area. It'll be fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, does anybody know about I guess what we would call the big boys? Is Adobe doing anything? I know there's work with DJI has it, but what are some of the other big players? Uh, are they we just so early now that even they aren't? Or as we used to say, I used to work for IBM and they had a saying that there was no solution there was no problem they couldn't buy the solution for. And so they would really just wait around until, and that's probably what will happen, right? We saw that with, unfortunately, with Kohler and Panel Tour Pro, and that's something I guess to maybe be aware of is that don't get yourself too married to any of this software or this stuff because one, it's churning, and two, the successful ones will likely be bought out and maybe even shelved, like what's the call it was, but um, yeah, I guess yeah. Somebody's putting in there. It would make sense that the NVIDIA chips are such a central part to this that Microsoft and NVIDIA have got to have something going on with it. Um,
Well,
I think,
NVIDIA is doing an awful lot of innovation, but it's not a commercial product that they're putting out. It's all in the GitHub repository, and then you have to go through all that rigmarole in order to use their software.
well, I mean, we could all be insider traders somehow and all get rich if we could, as a professional group, we're able to pick who is it post shot? Is it, who gets bought out at some point by Adobe or whatever else?
Um, Alan just mentioned the Quest 3 Hyperscape. And we had talked about that, Lauren, and that
Yeah.
is fascinating, where you can just use your Quest 3, move around a room, it captures all the information, sends it up to the cloud processor, and after a few hours, you get back this Gaussian splatted model of the environment that you have covered. Except that right now, the only place you can look at it is on your own Quest 3. And sometime in the future, they will open it up where you can invite other people to come look at it on their Quest 3. There's no means for exporting it currently to a different, model or whatever. But I don't know. Again, so much is happening so fast.
I think probably one of the powers of that Quest 3 is that you have the two lens, right? So you're with every shot you have parallax being fed in. And so you're not, right? You in one take of that camera, you have the two views. I started to realize my hands were being lost. I'll have this all fixed up before I do this again on my workstation. But and so that's why I'm wondering. I guess Ollie has done some work where he's using two cameras on a type of a rig where he has them separated, maybe a foot
Great,
or two
great.
apart.
Three
Yeah.
cameras.
Okay.
That whole process. He's also done it with just one camera, but you have to then go multiple passes at different heights. That's the same thing with what the X Grid people were doing. One camera, but you have to have it multiple heights, so multiple passes. And Ollie's procedure just does it all in one pass, but with three cameras.
The way I figured it, and I definitely that's why I wanted to focus in on what was the quality and how do I photograph a surface, right? I just approached it from how did I start out in CAD and the rest of it, and I started with surfaces, and then I got to larger things. Is the I forgot what I was going to say. I'm um, the the shooting across an image or I don't know the getting anything in. Um, it's a very difficult process to do with just a single camera. You have to take so many shots, and having it separated where you have it out a couple feet apart, and then you're moving it slowly through the scene. It's going to probably work out a lot better. Um, Photosynth, yep, I remember Photosynth. TerraGen was another one. Uh, oh, um, that's kind of all. I think I've run out of stuff. That's
Okay.
unusual.
Well,
I
yeah,
usually keep going. I think I'm secretly just wanting to end this because I got to get out. I'm gonna
okay.
go take another.
And we have gone for an hour and 45 minutes, I think. So I think we can bring this to an end. You know, I'm afraid that there were questions asked that we didn't quite get to. There, I apologize for that. Great place to ask them would be in the Facebook group. And Lauren will promise to monitor the Facebook group and give his responses, but all the other people, you know, Stefan has been showing us some great work that he's been doing. There's many of you who have been doing some excellent work. Peter Graff in Australia definitely has. I mean, I would love to see more discussion about this. Somewhere down the line, we will get one of the industry experts to just come in and do a Q&A, you know, answer all of our questions, in addition to just, you know, showing work like we're doing here. Okay, thank you everyone for attending. Again, the recording will be available on the IVRPA website in a couple days, and then there'll be an email going out mentioning that you have to be a member in order to access it, but at $50 a year, it's well worth it. We will try to get the whole chat covered and released to everybody, also like we did last time. Beyond that, I can't turn my camera on, so I'm just going to say thank you, and we'll see you all next time, unless anyone else wants to bring anything. Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
everybody.